everybody, I'm Mrs.B and you've come to the Art Life YouTube channel to do some fun arty things with me. Today, come along and I'll teach you all about the art movement of pop art, some key artists and how to create an artwork in the style. This was super fun to do and I hope you enjoy it as well. So grab your textures, grab your paper and come along and learn about pop art with me. For today's task, all you'll need is a piece of A4 plain white paper. You'll also need some colourful drawing materials. Textures or markers are going to be the best because they're going to be the brightest, but if you have crayons or pencils, anything colourful is completely fine. But you will need some sort of black marker or texture or something that's going to stand out. Optionally, you might need to cut your paper. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So if you have some scissors, that'll help too. I do suggest also drawing with a pencil first, so you'll need a grey lead as well. So let's set up our drawing station and then we can get started. Today, our focus is on an art movement called pop art. Now, you may have heard of it. It started around 1950 and it was a super important art movement because it actually started the idea that art is for everyone. People like Andy Warhol and Lichtenstein were sort of the pioneers of pop art. They started it and they started the idea that everyone could enjoy art. And they did that by making it interesting and obvious to the everyday person. All of a sudden, art just wasn't portraits of rich people or a landscape of somewhere in France. Art was movie stars, musicians. It actually was also food. Andy Warhol once used a banana as his subject. He also once used some washing detergent as his subject. So all of a sudden, popular products that you see on the shelves at the supermarket were becoming beautiful, famous, colourful art. Now, the word colourful is very important in pop art as well, and it's probably one of its most obvious features. The colours that are used are not always realistic, but the idea is to use the brightest colour ever, which makes the artwork pop and stand out. So today we're going to have a go at creating our very own food-based pop artwork, and I'm going to show you how right now. Now, before we do any drawing today, I'm going to turn my rectangular piece of paper into a square one. This is just an option, but your artwork will look a little bit more sort of obvious, a little bit more symmetrical if it's a square. So what I've just done is fold it so that it joins here and done a tiny little pinch. That tells me where to cut. If I do it on the other side, I'll get a nice straight line running from there to there. There, I have a square. The first thing I'd love for you to do is just create a bit of a border around the outside of your square. Doesn't need to be perfect, about 1 centimetre is perfectly fine. Now, the next thing I'd love for you to think of is which food you're going to do today. Now, as I said with pop art, the reason we're doing food is so that we can have a recognisable object as our pop art subject. Now, you can do anything from fruit to junk food to beverages, and you can even put a brand in there if you want. Andy Warhol definitely didn't shy away from putting brands in his art, again, because it makes it more recognisable, and things like advertising became art. So Whatever you think of when it comes to your food, it does need to be something that you can draw, something that you can do confidently. It will be nice and bright if you can think of something that has lots of colour or detail that you can add. It will just make your artwork really stand out. So think of your food and we're going to try and draw it onto our square piece of paper. Now, whatever you draw, we want it to be nice and big. We want it to try to take up the majority of our square. If I draw a tiny little object here, my composition doesn't make a lot of sense. The subject or the main focus is so tiny, and then the background takes up the majority of the space. So that's not a great composition. The idea is that we want our food to be the focus. So making it bigger and bolder and brighter and able to add more detail is the idea today. So what am I gonna do? Today I might draw a pizza. My husband's favorite food in the whole world is pizza. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm choosing a pizza because it's a simple shape that I can sort of sketch out, sort of just a triangle. And then I can add in details like the toppings, and that will add some color. Now with whatever you draw, feel free to get an image off the internet that you can try to copy if you can't think of what it looks like just from memory. It is better to draw with detail rather than make it up in our head if we can. I'm gonna make it a really cheesy, drippy pizza. Trying to take up more space and add more detail. We want it to look like a pizza, so I'm gonna add some shapes here. There we go. That's the idea. I've tried to add as much detail as I can. I've tried to make it as big as I can. And now what I can do is lock it in with a fine liner or some sort of black marker or texture. Because this is a Sharpie, I'm gonna put some paper underneath so I don't destroy my bench top. You might want a ruler when doing the border. But we're not done yet. You could just go in and add color and it would look fantastic. However, we want to make it more pop arty. And Roy Lichtenstein, he was a fantastic sort of almost comic artist. He would take images from, say, a Batman comic, like pow, boom, some sort of fight scene, and he would turn that into a big, bright, beautiful artwork. And he'd make his pop art stand out with words. So what we're going to do is, firstly, you can do a bit of a bubble. Now, he used to do things like this. So really make a statement with a word and a bubble around it. You could also do something like this, more of a cloud. But I'm going to have a go at drawing this shape behind my pizza. You can draw it straight over the top if you want to. And this is just a way that pop artists made their work stand out. You might even choose to do a bit of bubble writing and write a word that fits your image. Writing yum is a word that fits. Maybe if you did a drink, you could do a descriptive word like cold, or a donut might be sweet, or a piece of watermelon might be juicy. Think of an adjective or something that could add interest or make your work stand out even more. When outlining though, we just want it to go behind our image. Kind of like that. Okay, so we've used a few strategies of pop artists using an obvious image from everyday life. We've used words, we've used bubbles, and now we're going to use colour. So essentially, we're just going to colour in using the brightest possible colours. If you choose, you can do realistic, or Andy Warhol often used to actually change up his colours. And when he would create an image, sometimes he would make the colours all mixed up. So if you'd like to do more of abstract colouring, that's completely fine, as long as you're making it as bright and colourful as possible. Looking good so far? Hey look, Mr.B. I've made your pizza. Told everyone it's your favourite food. People might bring pizza to school for you. Now, I'm not going to colour in this bubble. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to choose some really bright colours for the background. Obviously up to you which ones. And you can do some sort of pattern if you like, maybe some stripes, maybe some spots. You can do whatever you like in the background as long as it's filled with colour. Now you can see that my artwork is really starting to stand out because I'm making sure that I'm colouring in all the white gaps and I'm being as neat as I can with my textures to really make it as bright as possible. That's the idea with pop art, is for your artwork to stand out, be really obvious, and then when you put them together with other images as well, they look fantastic. So you could actually continue this task and make multiple pictures of different foods in the same sort of style and putting them next to each other, just like Andy Warhol used to do, makes it look really awesome. Yeah. So it's as simple as that. I really hope you enjoyed drawing some food today and creating a pop art kind of artwork just like Andy Warhol. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, as well as comment below if you've liked the video, and check out all the other videos that I have for you to get creative while you're at home or in the classroom. Thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, ice cream.
This is for the older kids though.